Not yet, but a chance is here today in Antalya. First up, we need to find out who she's going to meet. It's time for the compound women's individual semi-final number 2.
On target number 1, representing Colombia, Sara Lopez. On target number 2, representing Italy, Elisa Roner. And the line judge for this match is Laura Lynn Churchill from Canada.
So here we go. Sara Lopez, one of the most successful archers of all time, a 7-time Hyundai Archery World Cup Finals champion at just 27 years old. Down at world number 3 for Lopez, which is a little lower, going up against another athlete who's come into great form. The 21-year-old Elisa Roner from Italy is world number 14. And she got an individual bronze medal at the European Grand Prix in Lilleshall last weekend. Lopez of Colombia, Roner of Italy. It's compound women's semi-final number 2. Chef, as we get into this one, I've just been looking at the form of Sara Lopez coming through this competition. Had to face 2 shoot-offs in the last 2 rounds to make it through.
Yeah, and that in itself is not really unique, but one of the shoot-offs was after a round of 141, if I remember correctly.
Spot on. Which
is slightly lower than what we're used to from Sara. Maybe the circumstances were also not the best at that point, but yeah, I'm just curious if maybe she is not in the greatest form of her life, but she did make it into the final 4.
She's always here.
Exactly. That's so. Yeah, you can never count her out, and especially just looking at the screen right now, there's another 30 on the board. So
not a bad start.
Not a bad start at all.
That's a Roner from Italy here. Had a tremendous fight back in her quarter-final. Shoots a 29, but that was some match against France's Sophie Dodemont for Roner to make it through to here.
Yeah, she was trailing by 2 points going into the last round, and then she shot her 3 arrows and wasn't aware of what Sophie was shooting. Sophie ended up shooting a 27 and she shot a 30. So she realized by the target, when she was at the target, that she had won the match, and it was a very emotional moment from what I understand.
Yeah, a few tears were shed as she made it through. And been on form this season, Roner. That bronze at the European Grand Prix recently, a sign of her form.
Yeah, for sure. And not only that, but also in the winter season, she's been doing really well in Nîmes, but also in the Indoor World Series finals in Vegas. She won the Indoor World Series final. So, yeah, definitely climbing up the ranks.
Has it all been building up to the first stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup? Roner trailing Lopez by a single point after the first end, and it will be the Italian to shoot first in end number 2.
So Sara's first 9, it's not far out, but it does open the door a little bit for Elisa to come back into this match.
9.
What's interesting to me here is that if you look at Elisa's bow, and you cannot really see it from this angle, but she's canting her bow. And compound archers have a spirit level in their sight scope that shows you if you're holding your bow level, if you have your bow set up the regular way. I think Elisa might choose to hold her bow at an angle, but I wouldn't be able to tell you why, because it's not really conventional. So I'm sure we'll get some different vantage point where you can see, if you compare it to the banners at the back or the pillars in the back, that she's actually canting her bow with the top cam to the right.
So effectively, she's got it at an angle. What does that do to the flight of the arrow?
So it may mean, if you're inconsistent with it, it means that your arrows will fly to one side or the other. So it'll move the arrows from left to right. But if you're consistent, I think it doesn't do too much, unless you're gonna do a little bit more one way or the other. Because if you hold your bow plumb, so if it's straight, you can go a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left without any issues. If you're already canting and then cant even more, then it's gonna rack up easily. So interesting strategy from her, it's interesting technique, but seems to be working.
Kind of like a golfer fading or drawing a golf ball.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good analogy.
Thank you. I was due one. So a 1 point difference in this match, and it's still Roner from Italy trailing as we go into end number 3.
So Sara shot the last 4 arrows on the right side. She is adjusting her sight now. But I wonder if maybe the wind dropped or...
9.
And Sara's dropping a couple points more than what we're used to seeing from her, but Elisa is just, she's struggling to capitalize on it. Sara drops a point and Elisa drops a point.
So just starting to see that consistency pick up a little bit from Sara Lopez. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because Roner's just, well, we're going back to this whole situation of being 1 point behind and going into the final couple of ends.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad place to be in. You can put some more pressure on your opponent if you shoot first. Your opponent has to be susceptible to it, which I'm not sure if Sara is very susceptible to nerves from an outside perspective. I think most of the nerves that she has will be from herself. Yeah, what's interesting to see here is the difference in group as well, because Sara's group is pretty round. It's a pretty okay size and an okay shape. Elisa's group is a bit more spread out, and her 9s are a bit more randomly placed around the target. So you can see here the holes in the target are more clustered together.
Experience has to play a part. I mean, this is Roner's first Final Four.
Yeah, and I just wrote something down. Sara, if I can find it. Sara has 43 combined medals on World Cup stages, of which 24 are individual medals.
Roner has only dropped 1 more point in the match to Gibson. Sorry, to Lopez. But you said a slightly lower score than we'd expect from Lopez, but it just seems to have turned the corner a little bit halfway through that last end.
Yeah, like I said, the group is pretty good. It's just it shifted to the right a little bit at one point, and then she moved it back over to the middle, and now she seems good again. So.
Doors open again for Lopez, and that's 10 number 4.
And her shots feel more comfortable now as well, I bet.
Number 29. That's to double the lead. And look at that, 2 X's and a 10 for a near perfect 30.
Yeah, she seems to have really found her groove again. There is a stark contrast with how she shot these last 3 arrows and the first 3 arrows of the match, I feel. In the beginning, there was a little bit of a shaky feel almost, whereas now this was confident. Her rhythm was good. The shots felt a bit more, relaxed and controlled.
We've seen all 4 of the final 4 in the women's compound. When we look at this, we've got to be honest. Venom is looking like she's got this title. It's for hers to lose, I'd say.
Yes, that's a better way to put it than to say she's just gonna walk over everybody and win it, because I don't think that's the case. If you look at how Sara is shooting now, for instance, the last arrows were so confident, and she's
going to need that form if she's going to make it through this match, and she's certainly going to need it when she faces Venom if she does.
Yeah, and it's this weird situation where Jyoti Venom is kind of the one to beat here, but she can only also win because she's never actually won a stage, and Sara is, undisputed, or maybe by now disputed, greatest of all time. So
we go into the 5th end here. Let's not write Roner off completely. It's only a 2-point deficit. That's possible mathematically, of course, to catch up, but not if Lopez keeps hitting the 10.
Yeah, it's just that, there's a clear difference in group size and in group shape. And by group, I mean the whole pattern on the target.
Nice 10 to finish off. 144 the target set, and as you can see, 146 available to Lopez. A 9 will do it. She puts it in the 10 to finish solidly as well with a 146, and that actually matches her best score in the knockout phase of this competition. She's going to need to bring that very, very high level that she had at the end right at the beginning in the final against Jyoti Venom.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think Jyoti has a point to prove here. She's come out of the gates full storm so far. She's only shot really, really good. So, it's going to be an interesting final.
It is, and we've got to look at Elisa Roner as well, losing out to Lopez. She showed sparkles in there, but she's going up against a wounded Gibson in the bronze medal match.
Yeah, Gibson, I think her last arrow was saying a lot. Just her facial expression, where she expected the arrow to hit the 10, but it was actually a 9. What I hope for her is that she doesn't dwell on that one arrow or on the couple arrows that she missed, but it's like, okay, we all started at 0 again, and we're gonna, I can still do this.
Sara Lopez.
Well, it took a long time to get confirmation from 50 metres down the range, but finally it has been confirmed. Sara Lopez from Colombia has made it through to the gold medal match, where she will face India's Jyoti Venom.